Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my stream. Thank you for watching the recording, YouTubers. I'm getting back from conference travel and I'm still not fully recovered, just tired. So I'm drinking coffee and resetting up my office. Check this out. Boom. Subtle purple lights. Real purple lights. There we go. Ooh, I'm glad to be back coding on the internet. I almost streamed on Tuesday, but just didn't. Didn't have the scheduling. Didn't work out. But hey, y'all, I'm Josh Goldberg. I'm a full-time independent open source maintainer. That means I work on open source projects on GitHub and the like, instead of having a traditional 9 to 5 at a company. I'm sponsored by people like you who can set up recurring, hopefully, donations on GitHub and or the TypeScript ESLint Open Collective. I also wrote a book, Learning TypeScript. Buy it now. Every stream, I'm trying to get better at formalizing this. I post everything on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Mastodon on my Fastodon. So today, I wanted to start on these threads with some work on the dedent package. Let's cover this context a little bit here. Dedent is one of the multi-million a week download popular packages in JavaScript. If you look at it, it's been slowly climbing, even though if you look at the version history, and this cracks me up, I think this is hilarious. 6 years ago was the last release from the 0 line. So the previous maintainer, like what very frequently happens in open source, published a package. It's a great package, useful for people, and then they went off and did other things. Didn't have time for it, which is very reasonable. Who has time for anything? So I took over maintenance, as in DMND. Desmond gave me access to things, and I've been helping maintain this package. So there are a couple of trailing points that I didn't fix or clean up for the 1.0, which was released earlier this month. So for starters, I really want to bring it onto my template TypeScript node package. But that's a lot of plumbing work. I've got this nice template package. I can actually paste it in the chat. This template package, I'll probably name to like create TypeScript app or create TypeScript node app or something like that eventually. It's got a lot of documentation. I need to clean that stuff up, but it's got all sorts of linting and static analysis in general and testing and documentation tooling and stuff that I really like on repos. And by the end of the summer, I want to get it onboarded for all of my repos. But that's going to be a while. Another is fix add missing exports to package.json. So here's an interesting issue, and this is actually going to be the first thing that I work on today, which is fix add missing exports field to package.json. Let's cover why this is good. I'll just post it on social media. First up, going back to a PR I sent last week to fix up some ESM exports and stuff. Okay, so root issue number 58 is that when you use dedent in a node environment, import dedent from dedent will result in a default dedent object. The issue is when your package is itself ESM, not traditional common JS, the module resolution algorithm is different. Because main ports to dis/dedent.js, which is a common JS module, nodes ESM switches the module exports into a default, so you end up getting dedent.dedent needs to be called. Or dedent.default needs to be called. So, fun fact, dedent.default, referring back to dedent, ends up being a circular reference when you fix it, so it wouldn't actually be too much of a breaking change to fix this. All I had to do was just add the exports field per the reporter, who didn't have a chance to take a look in a week, but that's okay. I'll just merge this fix. So let's get this merged in now. So yay, that's fixed. Good stuff. That was actually pretty easy. Nice and straightforward. Great. Now this other thing is going to be a little bit more intensive, so I'm gonna actually go through and release a new minor version. In theory, I'd love to automate this, but that's pull request number 55. I don't even know, why do I have a toml extension? Anyway, let's see. Git pull. What's my package manager yarn? Oh boy. Node modules npm. Just to be safe, I'll use node 16 because I think this might be like an old lock or something. I don't know. Just to be safe. Yarn. So package JSON. Yep, got the exports in there nicely. Yarn build. So that should build. Got a few different build steps for this repo. Very nice, very nice. Learner, glad you can make it. How are things going on your end? We were demamming a bit. I hope your family member's doing all right. So, although I like automating, I still remember how to manually publish a new version of a package. It is npm version, and then either major, minor, or patch, or just a specific version. I'm going to do npm version minor. Now, unfortunately, on this repo, I can't push to the main branch because it's not my repo. I don't have permissions, and it's a protected branch, so 1.3.0. Oh, and now work is complicated too. Love to hear it. Okay, push you origin you. So I'm just gonna failed to put refs. Ref spec matches more than one. Might be that it matches the tag. Bump 0. And all right, so here we go. Get you over here. Include number 59. Squash. Actually, I don't want to. Do I want to squash and merge? Yeah, we just squash merge. All right. Is this the formatter issue? Which formatter? Oh no, this is not. This is like a little precursor. I got that coming up next. Dollar and whatnot. Pull. Oh yeah. Gotta reset my main. All right. Just be safe. Yarn build, and then I'm gonna npm publish. So now if we go to npm package dedent. I'll just post this PR in the chat for reference. I don't think I need to post it on social media. Here we go. Yep. Version. Actually, you know what? I will. That'll be my indication that 1.3.0 is published. Merged and published as 3.0. Oop. That. I cut and paste instead of copy and pasted. Merged and published as 1.3.0. There we go. Great. So 59 released as dedent at 1.3.0. I can't wait till this is all automated for me. Because number 59 fixes number 58. Hooray! Okay, now let's get to the formatter issue. Yes. So, GWrath, someone who's been commenting on my repos recently, and I love to see any activity. Thank you, GWrath. Are you on the internet? I keep forgetting. No. Sponsored by Indeed, though, so good for you. So the problem is, this package is kind of used in two ways. One is that you can use it as a template little string. Whatever this is called. What is this called? String tag. That's what. Yeah, string tag. Or you can call it as a function. When you call it as a string tag, one would expect that things still look the same. So if you do node dedent equals require, let's see if this works. Dedent I. There we go. Yeah. So like if you do dedent, let's see, dedent 1, 2, 3, 4 hello. There we go. It dedents that string. But if you call it without the oh wait, let's do it with like a dedent $sign hello. But if you call it as a template literal string, that $sign gets escaped weirdly. Where is it? Yes. Now I'm getting confused. Oh yes, because the escaping of the $sign is used so that we actually log, but the string is $ curly bracket, not including hello as a variable or identifier. Yeah, so that's confusing. We don't like that. So, but if you do this in the function, I'm just like recapping now for myself. If you do this in the function form, it works. So that the string tag form ends up with different behavior than the function form, which is very confusing. So graph sent a fix. Yeah, let me put this in the channel. Now reviewing the backing issues for the character escaping formatting shenanigans. So yeah, graph sent an issue that might be fixed by number 46 per GitHub. So a pull request that resolves the issue. However, I posted number 26. Someone else said that a previous effort in this repo to fix how things are escaped, so escape backticks, is a bug when using the function form. So I proposed. I did. Thank you. Yeah, it was fun. It was that conf, THAT, like the word that. Very confusing, but great conference. So yeah, I put together an issue. Explaining that there are two different behaviors that one could go for, and I think that when we want to call as a function, we don't want to escape special characters, but when we call as a template literal string or a string tag, we do want to escape special characters. So what I'm going to do is I ran this by these people. I tagged GRath. It's been a couple days. GRath's in favor, so I'm just going to accepting PRs and assign myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge GRath's pull request, and then I will, where is it? Where is GRath's PR? Ha, here it is. I'm going to merge this one. I don't want to keep GRath rating. It's already been 2 weeks. And I'm going to then add that option in and see if we can get that option in the same new version that includes this thing. So people always have the ability when this fixes in to turn it off. So there we go. That's merged in. Happy. Get pull. Get check out B option escape special characters. So let's look at how this is gonna look. Just README driven development. There's a new usage. So let's call this options escape special characters. So I know at the bottom for more in context, see, where is it? I always like posting more context things in docs so people can read more if they want. And to do explain, but like, let's look at a code snippet. So for dedent, there we go. How would I want this to look? Maybe we could do like, let's open dedent TS. Dedent.options, escape special characters, true. Maybe that'll work. Hello. Something like that. So that works. In theory, I haven't actually implemented, but I kind of like visually how this looks. Chat, let me know if you don't like this. Get out of here, GitLand. I'm debating on this one. Because like how else, I guess you could do like without the dot options. Oh, my phone's vibrating, pardon me. You could do without the dot options. You could make it like if dedent is called with options, then it is dedent options. Escape special characters. Boolean. Options. So then it's options escape. Yeah, so it would just be an overload on this thing. The problem with putting it at the end is then it gets ambiguous of whether it's an option or a value that we want to use, which actually reminds me of this. Let's switch this to unknown. There's no need for people to use any here. Unknown's like a safer any, and we never actually care about what those values are. We just treat them as unknowns. Yeah. So, yeah, you can't. It would be ambiguous to have them at the end. Unfortunately, that would be nice though. So, string or template strings array or dedent options. All right. So, const input options equals typo strings. Here, let's call it strings raw, and call it strings. So if it is an object, we get value 0 as string. So here we go. Values, strings raw, so it's values. Strings raw. Ooh, look at you, GitHub Copilot or whatever I'm using here. So this could work. Otherwise, it's strings raw, the options are whatever the defaults are, and then values. In this case, it would be options. Oh yeah, yep. What are we complaining about? So strings is type string. Oh, template strings array is type of object. That's right, because it's an array. So here, is string dot is string now. So if it's a string or array dot is array, strings raw. So if it's either string or array, let's go with the original form. So now strings as type should be string or template strings array. I'm just gonna make a function here. Equals is dedent options strings raw. So just putting this up here for now. Input unknown. Input is dedent options. Return type of input equals object and escape special characters input. Alright, so integer exists and it's an object and we have escape special characters. So if it is dedent options, then strings, yeah. So values raw is strings, strings raw. Okay, so now options is this. Let's give this a type. String or template, strings array, dedent options unknown. What am I doing here? Okay, so here I'm saying I want this tuple to be three things. So the first one is always my input strings, which is string or template strings array. Next, it's dedent options as the options. And then third, it's unknown. Okay, yeah, that's fine. What I'm actually going to do is make a get default options strings. So I don't actually need this anymore. What I'm going to make is another function. Get default options strings raw, which is a string or template strings array, and returns dedent options. Because the default options are going to be, just writing it down, escape special characters is true if it's a string tag, and then false if it's a function. So type of strings raw equals string escape special characters. All right. So that works in theory. Cool. So what have I done so far? I've parsed out the strings, the options, and the values from the strings raw. If it starts with an options object, then it's values raw of 0 as string, strings raw as the options, because that was a dedent options object, and then the rest of the values are what's getting interpolated into strings if it is a template string tag. Otherwise, if it's just passed as a string or template strings array, then strings raw is the original strings raw. We just go with the default options and with values raw. All right. Just to make this clear, let's verify this function. Stuff inputs, or first rest. Type of first console.log first. So if we spin up a node terminal, create stuff, and to do stuff hello, then it is an object. Oh, array dot first. So here, let's this is interesting. It is an object and it is an array. Okay, so when you do use the string tag form stuff, then it is provided as an array. So we know that, where is it? We know that checking for whether it's options. So you know what? Not array dot is array input should be sufficient. Because we know if it's provided as an array, then it's not options, it's a string template literal tag, whatever it's called, object, and then true. Okay, so get default options. So we want to escape special characters if type of string raw is not equal to string, right? If otherwise array dot is array string raw. Either way works, I would assume. All right, and then so these options are never actually used here, although we do see that they are type dedent options, so that's nice. What I'm going to do is I'm going to extract this into a new variable, let next equals, so plus equals next, and then move this here. Yeah. If options dot escape special characters, then next equals next dot replace all these things. Okay. All right. So this makes sense to me. So we've accumulated this. The way the dedent stuff works on the inside is it accumulates a result string, which first we handle the interpolation, and then we split it on new lines and handle indentation. Okay. So let's look at some tests just to get this working. Actually, let me just refer back to the original issue. So it should be that when there's a $, it should show up as $, not \\. I think this is right. You know what? One problem with this approach is that oftentimes people will try to do like const dedenter equals dedent something. How do we get type of string as object? Because it's not a string. It is actually an array. When you do a template literal string tag, then it comes in as an array. Whereas when it's called as a function, it comes in as a string. Fun fact. I believe part of why that's done is because that way you can disambiguate whether you're being called as a function or as a string tag. Fun stuff. So just hello next. So yeah, you got, it's an array of the strings, and then what comes next is an array of the stuff between them. I thought it's kind of cool. I wonder if you do console.log hello next. Yeah, look at that. Nifty. All right, so yeah, what people often do is they'll like create a dedenter or like a function like this, and under notes with like alternately you can create a dedicated dedent function with options. Yeah, I actually think it's really fascinating. The problem is I don't think that these are compatible. So I have to add extra logic here. So like if we pass in dedent with just options, dedent options, then we would want to return type of dedent. And this is just getting complicated. If options.length equals 0, or if there are no, if strings raw equals undefined, so like if the person only provided options, no extra strings, then we return something. Dedent.options escape. We would have to be able to do something like that. bourgeois string or undefined. Oy. This is getting convoluted, and I'm wondering if I would rather just skip to having like dot options, and then considering having like a without dot options as a follow-up. I think I want to do that because this is getting complicated, and honestly, the likelihood that people want to, yeah, doing this without types would just be a nightmare for people to have to deal with on the ends. Although it is kind of annoying getting the types working internally. Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say running it without the dot options, you can't pass in options. It's just... yeah, this is annoying. Also, sorry, just spouse is yammering in the next room. Some kind of work appointment. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go with just the dot options approach. Let's see here, because otherwise it's just a pain. So I don't think I want any of these, so I'm just gonna move into a new file. Don't think I need them. Strings, values. Okay, so how does this work? How are we gonna do this? Yeah, too many overloads, a sign that it's getting too complicated. So each dedent function has its own options. So instead of having just like one nice basic dedent, I'm gonna call it a dedenter as the, excuse me, it's the name of it. I'll move these to a types file. Just for now, I might move them back, we'll see. So a dedenter can take in literals, or it takes in strings and values, and either way it returns a string. My spell check does not like this. With literals, strings, oh geez, what have I done? I've added an extra thing on top. Okay. Yeah. All right. So under dedent, instead of export defaulting, I'm just going to call this a function dedent. Const default options, dedent options equals. How am I going to do this? I guess I'll make like a create function, create dedenter, which is options, dedent options, return this whole shebang. Here we go, and at the very end of this function, I'll do a cute little thing, return dedent. Because in this create dedenter, yeah, the function gets hoisted to the top, so you can just do this. Organization saying, God, I hate this stupid freaking. How do I get? I don't even have Copilot installed. It might be Cody. I'm gonna uninstall Cody. I don't want these autocompletes. God dang it! Really annoying. Wait, sorry. Question mark. Are you talking about the function thing? Because yeah, if you put a function anywhere, just a function declaration specifically, where it's just a function on the line, it gets hoisted to the top of its container scope. So this function. So yeah, dedent dot options equals create dedenter, and then options is create dedenter, or type create dedenter. It takes in options, dedent op. Let's call it with. Actually, I like with as a name. Oh no, but that's a keyword. Right. Takes in dedent options and returns dedenter. So the goal here is that anything that is my dedent function, aka dedenter, let's call it, you know, I'm just going to call this dedent. And then create dedent. Now my spell checker's happy. Anything that's like this, let's call it create dedent. Can be called as a function and also has an options property. Can we call this with? Yeah, I'm going to call this with dedent.with equals create dedents. Now, call it options. That's what they are. All right. And then in theory, I can export default create dedent. And this provided an empty array. Cool. Now, this is going to be a cool thing. Const escape special characters equals something equals options. And by default, escape special characters is array dot is array of strings. So if someone provides options, then if someone provides options.escape special characters, then we'll use that one. Otherwise, we'll default it to array.isArray of strings. So next equals next.replace if escape special characters. Nice. So the options of dedent is actually the create dedent function. The options here, yes, exactly, is the create dedent function, which creates a new dedent for you. And actually, this would be new options, create dedents, and overrides options new with new options, because I think we'd want to default to what the person had provided before. So new options, which is dedent. Here we go. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. So just to recap, this function create dedent takes in options, which can be escape special characters, and it creates this new function dedent. When this function is called, it checks if the options.escape special characters exists for this assignment, and if it doesn't, it defaults it to whether array strings is true. And then later on, it handles that in the escape new lines, backticks, and interpolation characters, and so on. All right, so yarn test, see if existing unit tests pass. They do, but I'm gonna have to write a whole bunch of unit tests for this. Delete my scratch code. Isn't this fun? Love JavaScript. So before I get to is using 4 different regex replaces and chaining more performant than one regex? I don't know. They have different replacements. In theory, you could do like a $signy thing, maybe. I don't know. In practice, I tend to not focus too much on regular expression performance until it's really bad. Like if it's some sort of exponential shenanigan, I'll look at it. But for this one, Also, I'm kind of hungry, so I'm gonna have a snack. All right. Pardon me. Ooh. I forgot these granola bars. They really get up in your mouth. Woo. Yeah, regular expressions can easily get away from you. Right. So interestingly, the unit tests do really all pass. That's so funny. Describe template or string tag character escaping. So let's kind of describe character escapes and call this let's fix that typo there, explicit. Is the stream stuck? It works on my end. Maybe Twitch is having a thing? I just refreshed and it looks like it's working. Let me know if it's not. Oh, another typo. Explicit. What is indent? I don't like that name. Indent. I don't like abbreviations, but it exists previously. I'm going to call all these test. So under tag character escapes, this is default. So I'm actually going to describe .each. Undefined, false, true. Let's see. Escape special characters. So I'm generating a test group for each of these values. Describe default behavior. So first we use it with no changes. Under string tag character escapes, and then we do with options. Escape special characters. So if we do yarn test -u and then go to the snapshot, the -u says to update the tests. We look at the diffs. Now it's all new and fancy. I'm gonna have to zoom out here, quite a lot of them. All right. I don't want a J. What is it? A S to stringify. So describe each escape special characters. Oh, -- watch to do it in watch mode, so it constantly updates. And why is it not? Okay, here we go. So escapes backticks, escapes $signs. These are all staying the same. When we don't escape special characters, you know what? We don't even want to say whether it. There we go. I don't think we need to test closing braces being ignored. That's done under the default behavior test. So now I just get these three fellas. Yep. So that's cool. And function tag character escapes. Here we go. So I call these tests, but these ones are it. It does escape. It escapes. And then these are, I'm going to call these it also. So for these three, it does not escape backticks. So what is, what's this behavior that I want to go with? By the way, what's it called DD here? I'm going to call it dedent. That's what, I don't like abbreviations. Abbreviations are hard to memorize. So under function character escapes, default behavior does not escape backticks. Let's call these with a function. See what it looks like. Unnecessary escape character. It's not escape opening braces. Does not escape backticks. Ignores yet because all these backticks are unnecessary. So dedent function character escapes. Default characters does not escape $signs. Cool. So these look reasonable and good. These are as they would be expected to be. Now let's go to the tests here. Same changes as before, don't need these escapings. All right. So this is cool. Got my tests all nicely auto-generated. Function character escapes. Default behavior. Let's call this with escape special characters. In these auto-generated ones, make it a little more clear. Here we go. Default dedent function character escapes with escape special characters equals. Do I call it equals? I'll just say a space there. No need to change that. All right. So I'm pleased with this. Looks like the tests are working when escape special characters is true under the string tags or when it's undefined, as in the default behavior. It's always escaping-y, and then when it's false, we do, in fact, keep the backticks. Similarly, function character escapes don't do anything. Okay. Interesting, actually. Default character escapes. Maybe the functions actually do need some special logic here. So, let's see. Escapes double escaped backtick. So let's add some double escapings. Let's see what happens here. Similarly, test, double escaped, backslash. So when we look at the snapshots for, let's say, double escape backticks, we do escape them with escape special characters true. Semantic satiation, there's a term for when you say a word so many times it loses meaning. Seabid, Chrissy, thanks for joining. How's it going? Always nice to see you. I think I've gotten semantic satiation for this, so that's nice. But yeah, double escape backticks by default with the functions do show up with the backticked, and then with escape special characters true, we do get rid of them, of one of those backticks. So that's cool. So yeah, I'm gonna send a PR. Oh yeah, I gotta do the read. I'll send a PR once I fill out the README. So, to do a escape special characters. Ooh, oatmeal. Love oatmeal. And pull requests. Awesome. So, how do I explain this? Open this side by side for a bit. Oh, you know what? dedent.ts. I'm actually gonna change I'm gonna have to export. Can I do export all from in JavaScript? That does work, right? Yeah, dedent options, dedent, and create dedent. That's a thing. Although I think there's no real need to make create dedent separate. But you never know when someone wants it, so I'll just keep that separate. All right. Excuse me. Cool. So, JavaScript string tags. How do I explain this? Where is issue number 2? Here we go. By default, add an extra backslash escape in front of Emma. How's it going? Glad to see you. Thanks for hopping on. JavaScript, you know, I'm gonna, while this is, since people are trickling, I'm gonna post the issue and pin it till I send this PR. Working on some dedent stuff. So JavaScript string tags by default, in fact, add an extra escape in front of some special characters such as backticks and $signs. I wonder if I can get this working at the syntax lighting. Doesn't look like it, so I'm just going to go with $signs. Don't want to get it too complex. All right. Dedent will escape those special characters when called as a string tag. Am I going to do 100 Days of Open Source? No, I do that anyway. No, it's a nice challenge, and I really support people doing it. But because open source is like my full-time job, I'm going to try to, do weekends once in a while, take a break. But plus one of the people who are doing it. All right. If you'd like to change behavior and escape special characters option, day 5. Awesome. It's a good start. Almost a week. Good on you. If you'd like to change the behavior, escape special characters option can be set explicitly by calling dedent.options. Let's see. I'm going to put this in the general options category. You can customize the options dedent runs with by calling its options method and object. I'll just move this here. So you can do like import dedent from dedent, then dedent.options inputs. Ugh, I do not want that to be, I don't want that to be split off into another line. I want it to be on one line. Options returns a new method, a new dedent function, so if you'd like to reuse the same options, you can create a dedicated default dedent function. All right. Let's keep it nice and on the same line. No, time to pretty or ignore. Okie dokie. We set toggles it explicitly. It is available. It defaults to false when dedent is called as a function. Dedent to true when dedent is called as a string tag. Ugh, I do hate the escaping of template literal string tags in Markdown. See if that actually looks good. Yeah, I don't think that looks good, so I'm just going to remove those samples. I don't actually think we need them anyway. False when you haven't called a function, and yeah, I'll keep that online. Okie dokie. So putting this all together, dedent.options now exists So you can specifically escape special characters true or false. I'm just gonna here we go. So I remember now. So the $sign there means hang on. Per the issue dedent, if you pass in a $sign. Okay, so if you pass in a $sign, it with a backslash in front of it becomes 2 backslashes. So if you pass in with none, it should only become 1. Okay. So that's cool. Yay. Get add all. Feet add options with escape special characters. Let's call that an F lowercase. I'm gonna push this up and make a PR. Hooray! So this fixes number 63, fixes number 26. Put those in ascending order. All right. Good stuff. As described in the linked issue, described in number 63, this sets up an options. This introduces the concept of options with a single option, escape special characters. I'm just gonna copy and paste. The option defaults to true when called little string and false when called as a function. Little string tag. It's called, I'll just copy and paste from the README example on this one. I'd played with passing it in as a first parameter, or as a first argument, instead of a string or template literal strings array, but that got complex. Suppose we can do that as a follow-up if people really want. All right. So I'm gonna want to CC gwrath to see what gwrath thinks, because we've been talking about it. Gwrath and who else? Syrian. Do you think? I'm leaning towards releasing this along. Yeah. So I'll note that gwrath's fix in 46 I just sent number 65, and am thinking I'll wait to release this in a new minor version till that option is in. That way people can opt out of the bug fixing the new behavior if they want. Technically, this is a breaking change, but in reality, everything is a breaking change. So because it doesn't breaking change the external API, and aside on versioning, technically this is a breaking change to behavior, or technically, actually I'll just put this here. Technically this is a breaking change to behavior, but in practice, theoretically, this is breaking change behavior, but in practice, basically, every behavior change is technically breaking. I think giving fact that this doesn't change the public API means, the fact that this doesn't change the API means I'm comfortable releasing in a minor version. But having the options in 65 available is a nicety for users. Yeah. Ryan Hawkins, haven't seen you in a bit. So glad you're back. Hello, welcome. How's it going? I feel like my streaming has gotten a little unreliable, so I'm glad to see all these nice repeat faces. Okay. I got the PR. Woo! Sent a PR. Played with a couple options for the public. Yeah, I went with this one as the simpler, as a relatively straightforward. Okie dokie. So that's cool. I'm glad, Lauren. I always appreciate you coming on. I know it's not an easy time for you. All right. So this concludes all the dedent stuff that I wanted to do. Also, really fun tidbit on the package versioning of dedent. If you look at the weekly downloads, it's like over 18 million. This predates me by a long shot. But if you look at the version counts, it's 17 million, 17.5 million almost downloads of 0.7 the last 7 days, and only 10,000 of 1.2 in the last 9 days since it was published. Or in the last 7 days since it was published 9 days ago. So that's fun. A lot of people on the old version, such is life. In fact, there are more people on version 0.4 8 years ago than there are on any version I've published combined. Lulskis. So that's cool. All right. So I think I promised I'd post an article if I had time. And I do, I think. Let me just check my calendar. Yeah. I got a meeting after this in 25 minutes, so I'm going to post a thing. Hi. Pardon my gross chewing with my mouth open and waving at the camera. I just got excited to say hello. All right. So, next up, Code Learning TypeScript site. We got an article. And it's a good little segue we're doing here about semantic versioning and such, because, oh boy. Let's see, yarn dev, yarn start, I forget what the command is. Here we go. So on the Learning TypeScript site, I'm writing this spicy little article on why we don't follow semantic versioning. I meant to post it last week, but I ended up posting something else instead. Update date to 27th. All right. So most projects in the JSDS ecosystem, in Node, NPM, etc., all this, we release new versions with numbers. This is why I'm going over this, because I'm going to see typos with numbers respecting to semantic versioning, or SEMVer for short. SEMVer, yeah, I'm going to reword this. Whenever you introduce something, if it's new, it's a good idea to mention what it is. SEMVer is a specification that describes how to increase a package's version numbers upon each new release. How do you predictably increase a package's version numbers upon new release? TypeScript is known for not following a traditional interpretation, following strict interpretation of SEMVer for its releases. This article will get into what SEMVer is and why it's useful for many packages, why following a strict interpretation of SEMVer would be impractical for TypeScript, and how TypeScript releases are versioned to an interpretation of SEMVer that makes sense for it. Okay. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to go to the Learning TypeScript site, go to the pull request, and post that in the chat actually, so we can all follow along at home if you want. I'm going to pin this. Boop. Post it on the socials. Now reviewing this Learning PS book, Buy My Book article to one last time before releasing. This is true, by the way. I find that waiting a few days, even a week, after writing an article greatly helps me proofread it. It's like I'm reading it for the first time from someone else sending me their words. That's like a known, thing. It's a known thing that your brain gets out of the context over time, not immediately when you write stuff. Oh, look at that. Exactly the blue sky character count. Nice. All right. Why following a strict interpretation would be radical aversion to an interpretation assembler that makes sense for it. While TypeScript diversion from a common community specification can be irksome for developers, there are real reasons why it chose to do so. Why it chose to diverge. Semver dictates that versions adhere to a major.minor.patch format. By the way, look at this annoying syntax highlighting bug. I saw that I forget where I saw it, an upstream project fixed their tokenizer to fix syntax highlighting, but I don't think it's released as the extension update yet. Anyway, Semver dictates. This is taken roughly directly from the Semver site. Major, when you make an incompatible API changes. Minor, when you add functionality in backwards compatible manner. Patch, when you make backwards compatible bug fixes. For example, given a package of 123, it might increase its version 2, 124 upon release of a small bug fix that doesn't change its API typical behaviors. New feature that doesn't change its API. And 2.0 that to its public API or typical behaviors. And the typical behaviors thing is something we'll dig into later. But there are some real benefits of Semver. So adopting a standard policy for version numbers has allowed the industry to share expectations about what happens when those numbers change. For example, for developers, it's kind of a marketing number, marketing quotes. If you see that package has, say, only changed its patch version number, you can expect that its update will probably not take too much effort on your end. If it's updated its major version number, you can expect the update will probably take some manual effort. And I'll add a little info thing. Regardless of Semver number changes, it's always a good idea to read a package's release notes before trying to update it. You never know when a small change to a dependency will impact your project in meaningful ways. Yes. I just realized I never did the release notes for dedent. I forgot to do the changelog. Ugh, taking me out of context. And changelog 3.0 fix. What was this? Fix consume first level. Oh no, that's in main, but it's not merged yet, or published rather. So fix. Add missing exports fields to package.json. All right. Oops. Git checkout main. Git pull. Checkout B. Ooh, Emma, what's your vacation? Ooh, excuse me. Git checkout B. Change log for 1.0. Docs add change log. 34130. Change log 430. Boop, boop, boop. Mentions that. Okie dokie. Check out main git pull. Now, did I ever populate the releases here? I think I've been meaning to do that, but oh well. Anyway, a little interlude there. All right, benefits of Semver marketing version info. Okay, and then for machines, in addition to suggesting change various many common tools across the web ecosystem rely on semantic versioning, most notably, Node.js package JSONs, package dependencies adhere to Node Semver versions, which directly refer to semver.org. Symbols such as these friends, commonly seen in package JSON files, are built on Semver and explained by Node Semver's documentation. Great. Now, staycation. Yo, we're doing a staycation soon. Never underestimate the power of a staycation, especially, but not exclusively, when dealing with burnout. as I think everyone is at all times to some level. Yeah, the comfort of your own home. Nothing quite like it. Is there a newer edition of my book available? Yes. Korean. And Portuguese. I legitimately forget what language version this is. That's not good. I should figure that out. Someone told me over email. Oh, thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. Yes, buy my book. I will want to do a new edition in a year or two. TypeScript has already changed some things, and I've learned a lot since like drafting the book skeleton over 2 years ago now. So we'll see. But for now, it's just updates to the book. I actually do recommend in general getting the electronic version because there are a lot of typo fixes in it. I personally prefer paper, but yeah, no, the first version is still good. Thank you for getting it. Appreciate it. In terms of major, minor, semver, we've only released patch versions. We might release a new minor version in a couple years as TypeScript grows and changes, but depends how rapidly and significantly TypeScript changes. Yeah, no real minor versions for us, just patch and major. But yeah, so semver for machines. Another common example tooling built in Semver is automated release management. Tools such as change test, release, and semantic release, all of which are great, can automatically publish version the package based on the kinds of changes made to the package, such as by conventional commits. Too many comments there. Conventional. Commit standards such as can help and inform those tools of the kinds, can inform tooling of what changes exist are contained by each commit. Yeah. Okay. Given all the advantages of semantic versioning, it can be starting to learn that TypeScript intentionally does not follow strict semver. TypeScript version numbers to date have instead incremented according to the following pattern. A new minor version of TypeScript, e.g. 4.9, is released every 3 months or so with new features. Patch updates of that version, e.g. 4.9.1, which fix for small bugs, are released as needed. A new major version of TypeScript, e.g. 5.0, is released if the minor version would have exceeded 9, e.g. 4.10. In other words, TypeScript uses major version numbers more for marketing and public visibility than for semantic versioning. This was an intentional engineering decision. Releasing a new version of TypeScript almost always requires compiler changes that break some existing TypeScript programs. Okay, so now we get to the crux of the issue, which is everything's breaking. Many users consider TypeScript type checking as a part of its API. When a minor or patch version introduces changes to type checking, some might consider the breaking change, but TypeScript is a core part of TypeScript and one of the most frequently modified parts of each release. Upon each release, one of the most upon each release. Strictly following some would mean any change to type checking would be considered breaking. Changes to the type system can come in many forms. Even seemingly small changes in each of those forms can cause breakages for some consumers of TypeScript. I want to say explicitly, most changes fall into one of the following categories. Added type errors, following categories. Yep, exactly. If every version change meant breaking production, then no doubt some folks might hesitate to upgrade. Yep. One of the main benefits of using TypeScript is that it reports a type error when it detects an issue in code. New versions of TypeScript are often made more capable of finding more classes of type errors. Typo. Why is that not a typo? Detected by my spell checker. Type errors, but what some would consider bug fixes, new features and types, others would consider introduced breakages. Updating to a new version of TypeScript and seeing new red editor squigglies or build failures could be considered breaking. this is a natural consequence of TypeScript improving over time. Example, TypeScript 4.8 stopped allowing unconstrained generic type parameters to be assignable to empty object. This is technically correct, as empty object is not supposed to be assignable to null or undefined. It's literally any object, so anything that is not null or undefined. But existing code might have been written with the assumption new type errors in TypeScript 4.8. Similarly, TypeScript sometimes stops reporting type errors. Would this be conversely? Define conversely. Conversely? What a good ACT word. Oh, did I see a review? Which? Oh, right, 4 minutes ago. Okay, cool, no. No, cool, I'll go over those next. Thank you, really appreciate it. Where was that? Here we go. This is sometimes done to make TypeScript more permissive and compatible with existing JavaScript code, but for consumers who relied on TypeScript's stricter type checking to catch issues, these changes could also be considered breaking. Updating to a new version of TypeScript no longer being prevented from shipping code patterns the project wanted to avoid could also void might be a problem, even if TypeScript uses change improvement. I used also be considered breaking here. There's no need to use in the next sentence. Example, TypeScript 5.1 allowed getter and setter accessor pairs to specify 2 different types. This is correct, as many built-in JS objects have APIs with different types for accessor pairs. However, teams that expected code to prevent them from writing mismatched accessor pairs could be surprised to see that TypeScript 4.5 no longer would. That expected TypeScript prevent them no longer would. Okay, a little more clear. It's linking the TypeScript here to TypeScript there for the no longer would. Built-in type def changes. TypeScript includes a set of built-in type definitions that are queued in the majority of projects. These definitions include types of JavaScript built-in objects such as array string, as well as DOM types such as document HTML element. Changes to these definitions can cause type errors in existing code, even if the changes are purely additive. Many projects augment built-in type defs to fill in gaps or make them more strict per the project's needs. Modifications to augmented built-in types can introduce type errors for declaration merging. A little link to the TypeScript handbook's explainer for that previously was permitted. Example, TS49 improved the accuracy of the built-in promise.resolve types. That improved type can break existing code relying on promise.resolve calls. That seems wrong. Can break existing code relying on those calls to be typed as returning any or known instead of a promise. Less than 4.9 versus greater than 4.9. Okay. Given how breaking many common type checking changes are, it follows that if TypeScript followed a strict interpretation of December, every release would be a major. TypeScript's versioning strategy options therefore are allowing changes to the type system in non-major versions, the strategy in use today, or only releasing those changes in major versions. Unfortunately, regardless of how often major versions are released, only releasing type system changes in those major versions is impractical. In theory, TypeScript could release a new major version every 3 or... I want to reverse that. Unfortunately, only releasing type system changes in those major versions is impractical, regardless of how often major versions are released. That way it flows more naturally into the next things. In theory, TypeScript could release a new major version every 3 or so months instead of a new minor, as it does today. This will more directly follow traditional Semver by indicating type system changes as breaking. However, doing so would negate many of the benefits. I'm realizing it's taking me a real long time to get to the point that what is my point here? What am I trying to say? To the point that I don't know what I'm going with. Anyway, whatever. Back to the review. Like halfway through, Jesus Christ. This is a long article. Too long. Whatever. Negate the benefits of Semver for consumers. With the new major version released every few months, consumers would have to update to that major very frequently. The distinction between major and minor versions would lose meaning. That loss of distinction would be detrimental to consumers. I'm going to give a summary up here. In the summary, let's dig deeper. And I'm going to also add in that truncate line. Okay. God, I hate that highlighting bug. Okay. We can summarize. The reasoning can be summarized as this article will dig deep on each of those reasons. Let's dig. We'll more deeply explain each of those reasons. Let's dig in. Do I say that in other articles? I do. Oh, well, whatever. The reason can be summarized as TypeScript, nuances of TypeScript's behavior change in virtually every release. So it's impractical to either bump major, increase major versions, strictly increase major versions on every release. On every release, frequently or in regardless of how frequent releases. Not regardless, whether both with frequent releases and infrequent. TypeScript, if we consider nuances of type checking, instead of those type checking nuances as details rather than the public API, TypeScript actually has quite good adherence to semantic versioning. Each of those points. Let's dig in. Yeah, I'll just remove that. Okay. That makes me feel better that there's a summary up top so people can contextualize as they read through. Strict versioning options, frequent majors. However, doing so would negate many of the benefits of Semver. If you released every 3 months, consumers would have to update the major version very frequently, to your point, learner. The distinction between major and minor versions would lose meaning. Loss of distinction would be detrimental to consumers because TS does occasionally need to release an API level breaking change. If every release would be rendered major, then neither developers nor tooling would be able to easily identify the true major breakings. Furthermore, frequent majors can contribute to large swaths of the community being left behind. We actually saw this, 10-20 minutes ago with the dedent package. Most products don't update majors very often. Enterprise software in particular is notorious for sticking with old major versions. The larger the number of major versions of a piece of software exists, the more likely it is that many users will still be on old, unsupported versions. Bugs and bug fix releases. What happens when an unintentional change, such as a type checking bug, is shipped in a TypeScript release? If TypeScript were to consider type system changes as Semver breaking, then bug fixes would also have to be released as major versions. The inevitable need to patch bug fixes after release would necessitate a significant number of added major versions per intended release. Fewer words than the previous one, but I think very poignant. On the other hand, infrequent majors. TypeScript could release major versions infrequently, say once every 6 months or even every year. This would minimize the frequency consumers would need to update major versions and experience breakages. But restricting how breakages to an occasional new major version would be bottling up nearly all changes for months at a time. New and frequent major versions would contain a significant amount of type system changes at once. Onboarding to new and frequent major versions would be much more difficult than today's minors. Even worse, because the new changes would have so little public user testing and stable versions before release, they likely contain many more bugs. TypeScript is a complex enough language with a large enough community that many type system edge cases aren't caught until a stable release. Even with long beta periods for new and frequent major versions, bugs would likely creep in, and their fixes would often be considered breaking changes that have to wait for another new major version. Yeah. So, we can't do frequent and we can't do infrequent. That being said, the language does in fact follow a looser version of Semver. It considers API changes to be breaking. Backwards incompatible modifications to Node.js APIs. Removals of tsconfig compiler options. Changes to default values of tsconfig compiler options other than the catch-all strict, which is explicitly noted as an exclusion. In other words, the way you might call TypeScript, such as API inputs in the general the way you might call TypeScript, such as API inputs and the general format of outputs, are considered its public stable API. Stable public API. Nuances in how TypeScript generates its outputs, such as type checking behavior, may change in non-native releases, as with any software package. Most software packages can be... Yeah, I don't think that note is needed. Okay. So I'm actually running out of time. I've got a meeting in 2 minutes, so I'm going to quickly hop over to your review. Given a package at version 1.2.3, let's comment that out. You're having trouble understanding this sentence. I don't know that removing the for example would help. Can you speak more on why? Sorry, I don't follow what's confusing about it. I don't see how removing the for example would help. Can you speak more on this? Clarification requested. There's this paragraph. By the way, when you do a suggestion in GitHub, fun fact, you do actually need to change things. So like if I were to put in like an ASDF here, that's how you get the suggestion. Just clicking the suggestion button and keeping the same doesn't actually do anything. I don't follow. Oh, yeah. This statement describes buffer consumers who relied This would be inaccurate, actually. You generally rely on a lot of things from TypeScript to catch issues, including strict and less strict parts. Unfortunately, I really do have to go. So in that case, I'm answering the question. Great. But no, this was a pleasure. Thanks, y'all. I'm just going to post the poll in the chat one more time. But I'm going to release this article later today. It's been sitting for a week. So, Chrissy, I'll try to get through your comments here. And if there are any changes, I'll definitely make them. But, thanks for posting. And thanks, everyone in the chat. This has been a lot of fun. Just to recap, I'm Josh Goldberg. I'm an independent open source maintainer. Please ask me any questions. Bring up topics you want to talk about this stuff. I'm always happy to chat. Bye, y'all. No raid today.